Welcome back, everybody, to another round of Sons and Shadows podcast with Kevin and Jeff. Yes, we are back on target with Human Target Season 2 from Fox from 2011. And this is my first time watching this one. Kevin, did you ever see this one live, or was this your first time?
Okay, so I did catch it when it was airing, but it's still kind of my first watch because I don't remember seeing half of this.
Really?
Yeah, no. When I watched this live in real time, I'd seen up to the mid-season finale, and from what I understood, it had been canceled. Like, they brought it back because ratings were good enough, or the right people liked it, so they wanted to give it another shot. And halfway through, you were waiting for it to come back, and it never did. And so for like 10, 15 years almost now, I've been feeling like this great emptiness in my soul.
Oh, poor baby. Poor Kevin. Everybody give Kevin a hand. He cried over his show getting canceled.
No, you know what? I cried when I found out that the show continued on and something really sweet happened. I was kind of like, oh, it's about time. I was not gracious.
No, he wasn't reunited with Catherine.
No. Everyone forgets about her.
Well, the season certainly did too. I know we'll get to that soon enough. Season 2, actually, real quick for a bullet point for everybody, Season 2 did forget quite a few things from Season 1.
Yes. And there's history and reasoning behind it. They switched showrunners. Fox decided that, yes, they did want to keep the show going, that it had good reviews, everybody liked it, but they wanted to have the show reach out to the broader audience. So they got rid of Mr. Steinberg as the showrunner, and they bring in Mr. Miller as the showrunner, who makes a couple changes here and there and forgets to look up things that had previously happened. So continuity isn't always a thing. Basically what happened is they bring a romance into the show for Chance, and they bring a child into the show. And Ames is not a child. She's in her 20s, but for all intents and purposes, she's supposed to be the street urchin that's going to be apprentice to Guerrero.
Correct.
None of that was bad, but it's not what anybody necessarily wanted. That's what the studios said everybody wanted, but nobody responded to that. Like, that was so much better than last season. I don't know that it was disliked, but it wasn't. I don't think anybody liked it more.
Yeah, I would agree. On the general level, I think Ames being part of the team felt a little more natural than Elsa, the boss and owner of the company that was now employing everybody. Yeah, fuck that relationship. I don't give a shit if they got together or not. They forgot about Catherine, fuckers. Fuck off. Whatever with that. But like the addition of the new cast was fine. It took a couple episodes for me to warm up to both Elsa and Ames. And I like Ames as a character. I think she fit the group very well. And I think if it had just been her, I think ultimately it would have been just fine. Like I said, Elsa did not need to be in this show. She did not need to be the boss. We didn't need a company. Chance didn't need a romantic relationship with her. I've seen this happen in other shows before. It never goes well. When somebody thinks, oh, hey, we're going to introduce a romantic subplot. The boss is falling in love with the main lead of the show. The fuck you doing? That's never worked before. In any show that they've tried to shoehorn a romantic relationship in of that sort of nature, it's never worked. And I hate that mentality. But this time it'll be different. No, this time you pissed me off the last few episodes with that bullshit. Just that made no sense, and I didn't buy their chemistry romantically.
No, you're right. And it takes a very long time before it does become believable. For me anyway. Like there came a point where Ilsa and Chance like were very naked to one another, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like they were exposed truth wise to one another, and that's when Ilsa killed the guy. Like
Yep.
Chance was able to see that when he walked into that room, Ilsa was dead, and the woman sitting there was just a newborn type of Ilsa. It was harsh and powerful, but Hector,
She killed
man,
Hector.
that scene, that was good. That was effed up, but it was good. Totally derailed from the complaining that we were doing.
Yeah, I liked how that played out. I would have been happier if maybe Elsa had gotten shot and she was dead, though.
Harsh. Well, I liked it back then. I really did. Because again, I love soap operas. You know, that's my thing. I mean, fucking Chance is one of our little heroes when we were kids, from Days of Our Lives. But I don't know. I liked every episode. It was like a different James Bond movie where there was a different woman that found Chance attractive for whatever different reason. And that kind of added a freshness to Chance as well, the same way it does to 007 character in this season because of that. So in season 1, every episode felt like a Bond movie where Chance kind of comes in, meets a different girl, woos her, you learn something new about him. She starts to fall in love with him, and he's got to go away. It was always some kind of cool situation or structure like that. It was very much like a Bond movie where there was never the same girl coming back. And you did not get that this season at all, with the exception of Maria, who returns.
Yes.
Who instigates the entire like finale. And Ilsa and Chance's relationship is cute and it is fun, but it took away from that neatness that made Human Target really successful in the first season. Kind of that James Bond feel.
Yes, I would completely agree with that. Like, I could hear the argument of, but you don't want, who really wants to watch a show about him like hitting up like all these hot women like over and over and over again? We got to evolve. But if you were going to do that, why didn't you do that in season 1?
Yeah, kind of.
Because it feels like you're messing with the formula, which isn't always necessary. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I might sound like I'm bagging on this show. I'm only going to be bagging on just a couple of things. Overall, I do like this season. There are some issues with it. And I feel like the romantic relationship between Chance and Elsa did not work for me at all.
Like I said, I don't think it worked for me until the end. I liked it. I thought it was cute. But again, I like my soap operas.
Yeah.
I liked the Bond feel. I didn't dislike this. It was just different. And I feel like I'm going to gripe more than what I ought to for it.
Right. And even for all of its differences, I still felt like there was pretty good chemistry with all the cast in general. It's not like any of them didn't feel like they didn't fit like what the show was trying to build around. It just took like 3 episodes for like Ames and Ilsa to actually feel like part of a team and be like, okay, all right, we're okay here. It's just kind of where they went on the interpersonal between Ilsa and Chance in the end. If they had just kept it as platonic boss employee kind of relationship only, or boss partner whatever, because they even got into that argument, are you my boss or are you my partner? But by the end of the show, it's like I didn't need the romance part, is what I would be arguing. Like, I felt like everybody worked well together and played well off each other. I feel like they lost their way with Ames towards the end of the season, because it felt like they didn't know what to do with her the last like 4 or 5 episodes, like at all. She was just a convenient little MacGuffin herself. And Elsa kind of stepped up a notch, but also at the same time, it's like, well, you're just doing this to give an anchor to Chance, and he doesn't need one. So you could have just taken that romance aspect out. I don't think it really needed it, because And here's my perfect example of why they didn't need to. Because if you're going to do something like that, they missed a glaring detail of when she flat out told Chance, "You've never loved anyone before." And it's like any fan of season 1 would immediately go, "Bull fucking shit. You lying fucking bitch. You know nothing about this dude." Catherine, season 1, we saw what fucking happened and why he's here. It's what led him to be this man he is today. For her to stand there and tell him, "You've never been in love with anybody," fuck that.
She was just hurt and lashing out, god damn it.
Well, and he didn't say anything. It's like,
No,
dude,
he
stand
didn't.
up for yourself, you little bitch. You're gonna let her run over you like that? Fuck that, dude. I would never. If I had ever been told that by any, nobody's ever told me that, but if anybody has ever told me you've never been in love before, well, you bet your ass I'd tell them, go shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know nothing about me. You keep saying I know nothing about you. Well, you know nothing about me. It's a two-way street, lady. So how they wrote that character, whoever wrote that shit should have been fucking fired. It's inconsistent and it's detrimental, and I think it actually affects the legacy of this season.
Well, this season starts with indiscrepancies.
Yeah, it does.
An initial shark jump, Chance leaving the team.
They're crazy about game plans. Seriously?
That was completely out of character, especially from what we just ended with. Yeah, I mean, that's all good and fine. And again, that sets up the necessity for Elsa to come in and seek him out. It didn't make sense. It wasn't in line with what we would just left off to see. Armand Asante disappears
completely.
I don't know. Had he passed away at that point, or was this like a drug thing?
I don't know. I can look that up.
I don't know. Or was that Tom Sizemore I'm thinking of?
He's still kicking.
Okay. Then it's not that. I don't know. It was Tom Sizemore I was thinking of that passed away.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Well, good. But they totally forget about the old man. That was the first indiscrepancy.
He's mentioned, but they don't really talk about him.
They just said that he went off somewhere and disappeared, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, which was just really lazy writing. There is quite a bit of that in this season. Quite a bit. It's all still fun. There's not an episode that's not fun. I had personal issues watching the episodes, so I'm going to say every episode in this season made me want it to end. Like I could hear Tom Servo in the back of my head screaming, "End! End!" Because the way I was watching it was just so choppy that it was horrible and took twice as long to watch.
Yeah, we had to sail the 7 seas with our pirate buddies so we could watch this show.
To which we're very grateful and very upset it's Fox for, because they have never put season 2 out on digital or DVD.
Yep, it's extremely hard to find. We're trying to think of a way we can make this accessible for everybody who's checking out our podcast. And I do want to thank everybody for tuning, and take it easy for you hardcore fans. I'm just nitpicking at this point. Overall, like I said, I like the season. I just have some issues with it. And to Kevin's point, I really like most of the episodes. There's only like 1 or 2 I'm like, on. But we'll get to that. Well, the action is phenomenal. The choreography and the fight scenes are tight, just like the first season. It's just some of the minute changes just didn't work. I didn't like the sophisticated, fancy new office. I liked the low tech of the first office. It felt like they were actually kind of hiding in plain sight. Now they got a bright, shiny neon sign saying, "Hey, we work here."
Yeah.
And then they changed the theme song, and I didn't like that, but not much you could do in hindsight.
No, I liked the old one better, although this season did have a good soundtrack to it. I'll give it that.
I wrote down it was a little too poppy, a little too pop, And ultimately, I think that might have been part of the reason why it's not available on home video or streaming is music rights issues.
That is a very good guess.
It's just a theory.
Know. Well, I mean, this season was very largely like sponsored. There's that one scene in Wayne's World where they're like, it's like some people just only do things to get paid. Yep. And that's just really sad. And that was this, like the Eldo. I always remember the Eldo being like Batmobile, but it's when you watch it again, you're like, wait, this is just product placement. That's all this is. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, right. And to be honest, I thought Guerrero and the Eldo was just a fun storyline all the way through the season.
Dude, do not bleed on the Eldo.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's like Coulson and Lola. Like, the person that's got the car that they're attached to is always kind of the fun story. But just product placement for the brand new Cadillac, I don't see him having a fucking, like, emotional connection to his car that he's willing to kill for a brand new Cadillac.
Although he does get to that point in his own solo episode of a Cold Hand Guerrero.
You know, for filler, that was a lot of fun. God damn.
That episode was fucking dope. I would have actually liked that earlier in the season, to be honest with you. I think it would have fit very well early on. Largely because of one of the things that happens in that episode is you find out that Guerrero is tracking everybody, watching everybody's back, and he's got files on everybody. And it takes Ames hacking into his briefcase to get that because they need something else for the episode anyway. But that's one of those fun things of, I honestly think that would have fit very well around at maybe episode 5 or 6 as a nice little sweet episode right there. That way you kind of front load with a Guerrero episode in the first half. Like, people have been wanting that. I was catching up on some old news items from back then, and it seems like the fans really wanted more Guerrero. Well, you definitely got that this season. And it was just, I think it would have flowed better at the beginning. But ultimately, I think Guerrero is awesome. But him and his passion for his Eldo is top notch. It's his password, yo.
I know. That was so goddamn funny, though. Like, it really was. Again, I liked all the characters. I cannot complain terribly much. And I liked the dynamic of all the characters this season every bit as much as I liked the dynamic of the trio last season. Ilsa and Ames work together really well in ways that are kind of unsuspected. Like, they relate on a girl level, like girl talk. But then Elsa will turn around, like, make sure that it's right in front of the rest of the team and be like, oh, and by the way, if your personal life ever interferes with my business again, I will fire you. Like, totally thought she had Elsa smoothed over, and then, like, Elsa just dropped that shit on her. And that's one of her character traits that I really liked.
Yeah, the claws came out.
Yeah, but then you see her also when they're trying to open up the briefcase to find the Justice League files, I call it.
Yeah.
They're both sitting there like super excited, like, oh, you got it.
Yep, like we did this.
Yeah, like it was neat. And Ilsa has a nice evolution where she comes off as this ignorant rich person and starts to understand the business that she purchased, and she starts to understand Chance, and all of her teammates basically are her employees, for lack of a better term. And that's a neat process that doesn't end. It doesn't end until the end.
Right.
Where she's telling everyone goodbye, even though she's kind of decided not to go just because she wants to fuck with Chance.
Oh, I thought she just wanted to fuck Chance.
That too. Oh, shit.
You know, I will give points. How they wrapped up that story was decent. I just didn't care too much for it.
No.
I'll get off that horse, everybody. I won't bag on that. There's other things to bag about in this season.
Well, when you had said you weren't sure what you thought about the ending, I was kind of like, well, shit, now I want to jump right to it.
Yeah.
Because My recollection of the ending of season 2 was them getting on the plane and the guy shooting the Stinger missile at it. And I want to
the mid-season. Yeah.
yeah, like, so them finally getting together, or even the scene where Ilsa shoots the guy and Chance just holds on to her. It's like, that's 10 years of emotional investment where I'm kind of like, oh God. So, I mean, I was kind of there for it, but it was something that made this season very different from the previous season.
Yeah.
It didn't fit. It was different, but it was still fun, but it was different.
Yeah. Oh, well.
How can we say shark jump any other way? I don't know.
One flew over the Jaws head.
One thing that really kind of bugged me in the first episode, as far as their inconsistencies go, is when Chance leaves and goes to Nepal. It says 1 week later, and it shows Winston cleaning up all the glass from the invasion by himself with one arm, talking to Carmine, saying, "You miss him too." Has Carmine been there by himself for a fucking week? Like,
no food and no pooping everywhere.
Yeah, like, are you scooping glass with shit? Is this going to be some other kind of thing? Like,
yeah.
They didn't really kind of think about that detail. Like, you don't leave the dog. I'm going to bitch about that, and it's unnecessary.
No, you're going to leave all the bitching to me about this season.
And then the other indiscrepancy is we hear in this episode, in the pilot, well, episode 201, that Shelley, Marshall Pucci's lawyer, is the one that kills him for the fortune that he has.
Yep.
By the end of the season, that's not remotely true at all. But Shelley has Marshall's eye frozen. Where the fuck did he get that from?
Right.
Yeah.
It just sounded like a good idea at the time. We'll figure it out in post. Famous words.
This reminds me of that time where Warner Brothers wanted Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman, and someone says, "Sir, she was an African American," and the guy literally replied, "No one's going to remember that."
Well, Pepperidge Farm remembers.
No one's going to remember that someone else killed her husband. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was, when I said that I was highlighting in blue, listeners at home, I brought out an extra color to highlight discrepancies this week. There were so many to pick apart that I didn't want to forget any. So I had to just start outlining in each episode shit that they forgot from not just last season, but even this season. You're kind of like, who's in charge of writing? Like, who is head writer for this right now?
Yeah, where's a little bit of the quality control?
Was that Matt Miller at this point? Is he's the one that reviews all this shit? McGee, you fucked up. Like, you replaced the wrong person for the wrong guy.
Oh, he's fucked up plenty of other things. This wouldn't be the first time.
I didn't see Terminator. I can't say anything.
Yeah.
I liked Chuck. Well, at least the first 3 seasons anyway. I didn't watch anything beyond that, but that's a whole other 0 point for another show.
Yeah. Detail work.
But yeah, the frozen eye, as I was going over my notes tonight, that just really, really stuck with me. Like, where the fuck did Shelley get the eye from? And not only that, it was a different color eye from what the color eyes that the actor that played Marshall had.
Yep. They grew it in a petri dish.
Right?
Now we're introducing cloning into Human Target. Let's go.
The only redeeming part to that is that Rick Hoffman played the bad guy.
Yeah.
Always a great actor. Like, always great to see. And the way he delivered that, "Oh, hey, here's your husband with the eye on a pencil," was kind of funny.
Well, it reminded me of Demolition Man, is what that scene reminded me of. And it's like, could somebody just say, "Be seeing you"?
Be seeing you.
In here, please.
Oh shit. And then the next indiscrepancy I really found that was kind of like stupid, not worth really bitching about, but just MC Gainey. And again, another legendary actor replaces the old man basically as a father type figure to Chance,
Yep.
known as Donnelly, and he keeps referring to him as Chance. Donnelly would not know that name, and so I'm kind of like, what? It was like making my eye twitch. Why does he keep calling him that? Like not Junior or anything like that. I don't know. I didn't. It was an indiscrepancy that was bothersome.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would just say you got to have a little more quality control over that. And it's not being nitpicky when it's more than one thing. It's clear, like, somebody did not do a read through on some of these scripts just to try and stay consistent within your own. If you're going to be consistent within your own season at the minimum, okay. At least you're trying to keep your own narrative together for your own season that you're currently in. And you want to kind of forget about things from season one. Okay, I get it. I've seen other shows that have done that too, where they'll cherry pick things out of the previous seasons just to kind of sprinkle here and there for Easter eggs. But this is so glaring that even if you're a casual fan of season one, watching season two, every so often you're going to be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, hey, wait a minute. I don't remember that from season one. Or, hey, I don't even remember that from 2 episodes ago. What? Then you go back and it's like, where the hell they pull this from? This makes like no sense. A character deviating or your own little subplot in this season. Like, what the hell are you doing over here? So, and I know Mr. Steenberg wrote some episodes in this, but it almost feels like somebody got their little fingerprints all over his episodes, except for the Maria episode.
Pardon me.
Because the credit on that one seems to just be solely him. So
that was not a bad episode, but one of the things I will definitely say is they had X amount of dollars to go film out in a jungle looking types area, and
which was northern Vancouver where they shot that at. I know because I've been to that location before, even though it's been like 24 years since I was out there on a set. So
it's amazing how Columbia looks nothing like British Columbia looks nothing like British Columbia.
Well, that's also where like Stargate's been shot. A lot of these actors are like Vancouver actors. They make the rounds out there on almost every show. I recognize a few faces. Hell, the cameo list in this season's still good. I mean, it's not as great as the first season, but they still got some good, recognizable, at least faces.
Yes.
Like I remembered, I've seen like Donnelly. We were just talking about him. Then you got the guy from Arrested Development, the idiot egghead son who lives
Tony
with
Hale?
mom. I think so. Yeah. Who
plays
Harry?
Mm-hmm. He's also Dr. Psycho.
That's right. You were telling me about that offline.
Harley Quinn, and I was like, should we make a C-bomb joke? Nah. We already know he said that.
Yep. But there is a good list of cameos. I enjoyed it.
I did too. I want to say my favorite was probably the end with Jake Weber, just because I'm a huge Jake Weber fan. I really like him.
Yeah.
I always have. But it's hard to see him as a bad guy. Like he was a very good bad guy, but I've seen him play some really great good guys previously in American Gothic and Medium. So to see him be this like hardcore, completely heartless CIA agent was kind of neat. It was neat to see him get to flex his wings. And it was even neater to see Guerrero fucking kill him at the end.
Boom!
Blows the guy up in the elbow. And the funniest thing about that is Guerrero takes out the entire CIA team, fixes the problem. If everyone would have just stayed put, Guerrero could have fixed the entire fucking problem like Batman. And then he takes Agent Fichtner or Jake Weber, straps him to or tortures him for God knows how long and doing what, straps him in the elbow, and then blows his ass up. And that was the best part as far as like the ending goes. As for me, that was like the big,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what sealed it for me. I give that
Everything
explosion a 9.9 out of 10.
Yes. Shit. No, actually, it blew the fucking car up and somersaulted it. It
Yep.
gets the 10.
They blew the shit out of the Eldo.
Because Jake was gonna fucking erase Jackie's son and Guerrero's son.
Bad move, dude. Bad move.
Yeah, like what did you expect him to do? And I love that there was like 5 big boxes of records on Guerrero.
Yep.
But if they would have just like stayed put like they did like 3 episodes ago, where the Russian guys were after Tony,
Yeah,
or Harry, like Guerrero would have Batman that shit up in no time, with no one getting shot, no one having to jump off a fucking building. The only upside is Elsa almost got to shoot the lady that shot Marshall. Golly, when Chance says, no one deserves to die, she shot her fucking husband execution style. I think she's got the right.
I told you I hate bad guys.
Well, and he tried to fucking kill Baptiste, even though he had to work with him this season.
That was another character flaw where they just totally jumped shark from last season.
Yep, they completely glossed over a big storyline point that happened largely off screen.
Yeah, and it wasn't that the dynamic between the two actors wasn't good, and it wasn't
Correct.
that the episode wasn't bad. It's just that Baptiste is not a redeemable character,
And they tried to make him redeemable.
Yeah, this was very much like watching Thor and Loki in Ragnarok, where they are brothers in this. And Chance does not trust Baptiste at all, doesn't give Baptiste anything he wants, including the cognac.
Oh, he got the cognac, all right. Lightweight. Come on, Lenny. We could drink better than that.
Oh, that was so brilliant. Telling him no, so he wanted it more.
Yep. I even wrote down cognac, dick move, dude.
Dick move. Not even
Baptiste said that to him. He's like, dirty pool, man.
No, the dirty pull was he fucking kept Baptiste's watch. I was like, oh, that is fucking with him. But I mean, that would have brought him back for another return in season 3, which at that point, who knows what their dynamic would have been like. He could have brought Catherine back for all we fucking know. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I didn't kill her.
That's what I was thinking from the first season. I'm like, you never saw her actually on the boat. She just was on the boat, and then all of a sudden she's gone. Nobody ever saw a body or anything. That means I wouldn't think she did.
Kinda. Unless you see her like strapped, handcuffed, or whatever the fuck else, you can assume she's not there.
Yeah.
It happens that way in every other goddamn movie.
Right. Well, and that's something you feel like you can follow the show along, and eventually they're going to get to a story involving that. Like, there's got to be more to it. It can't just be, oh, we saw how she got blown up. Oh, darn, that's the end of that story. Okay, he's moving on and getting into a romantic relationship. What are you going to do in season 3? Catherine walks in the front fucking door, and she's like, Chance, I'm still alive. And then all of a sudden, we got a love triangle. Why would you fucking do something like that?
They had the love triangle this season with Maria. I mean,
for one episode, and Maria was a better fit for him anyway, but she had a husband.
She was a whore.
As I look into your eyes tonight, I see you for what you truly are. A no good lying bitch.
I'm sorry. She totally lied to Chance. She played with his feelings. And it's like he even told her, I would have done anything for you, but you chose to lie about this. Like he would have, if she would have just said, I need your help for this, he would have done it.
Yeah. It didn't have to be this big pony show for him.
Yeah, and that pony show sets off the Lopez brothers to hunt down Chance and Ilsa, which
Yep.
gets Ilsa brutalized. And
Way to go, Maria.
Maria suffers no ramifications for that. And there's a point where Ilsa is telling Chance there are going to be ramifications for you helping this woman. And that was kind of foreshadow that she was the one that ended up actually getting the ramifications.
And that's where I feel the writing was there. Like it was good. It could have been a lot better. Because when you get like this kind of foreshadowing and this kind of plotted out nature, like they sprinkled here and there, the sprinkles were good, the story was good, it was good, it should have been great.
Yeah,
I know that's a backhanded compliment. I don't care. But to say that the writing was bad, no, it was, like Kevin said, lazy. Like they did good enough for foreshadowing things so you could see some things coming, but they were certainly lacking in detail work, and it was lazy.
Yeah. I mean, none of it was poorly done, but it just like they didn't go back and look things up or like any due diligence, I guess.
Right.
And due
I
diligence
hate
is
to bag on writers like this, but it's pretty obvious with the second season.
You know what you did.
Strung and quartered. No, I don't
Um,
ask for anybody to get hurt from that. But
No, Jesus, no. I'm so thankful for this show, and I'm even thankful for the second season.
just teasing. There was still a lot of good in season 2.
Yes, I can safely say that Human Target is one of my top 10 favorite TV shows. It is up there with shows like MST or Night Court, Muppet Show, only it's got a lot of explosions.
Oh yeah.
Days of Our Lives.
Marlena possessed by the devil.
I hated that storyline so much because I love The Exorcist. I hated that shit. Like, this is so watered down.
So cheesy. Yeah.
No, but speaking of lazy writing, each episode this season, I think, was kind of a story plucked from another movie or another TV show or another episode of another series.
Yeah.
The whole oh god, what episode is it? The Wife's Tale?
Well, the Christmas episode was basically a Die Hard episode.
Yeah, that was Die Hard. Welcome to the party, pal. What is it? Then there was Reservoir Dogs, where they were going to do the burglary heist.
Oh yeah.
Taking Aims, where they all had to have different city names, and they took the Dark Knight Joker philosophy of doing a bank robbery where someone's always got to have a job to take out the next person.
I like Chicago.
Yeah, like the real Mr. Chicago was fucking...
He had the best zinger of this season as far as I was concerned.
What was
Comes
that?
out of the van, throws the jackass in there, takes off, and the next thing you hear about it is, well, they found the van. It was very bloody inside. I'm like, oh, please bring that guy back. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, he was cool. I liked him. I liked the fact that he took on, what was it, Winston and Guerrero at once.
Oh yeah, it was pretty a tough fight. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh damn.
And then when he realized that he was going to get shot once he shot everybody else, he was kind of like, oh, really now? My apologies to you all, good sirs. And then, yeah, like, fuck that guy up 6 ways from Sunday. And when he opened up the van door, my face lit up like a Christmas tree. Like, that was the coolest shit ever.
Yep. I thought so too. I was like pretty pumped.
Yeah, it's like how Marv says in Sin City. Great thing about a hitman is no matter what you no matter what you do, you can't feel bad. He probably deserved it.
Well, when the van door opened and he stepped out, I'm like, somebody hit the glass. Stone Cold's coming down to whoop somebody's ass.
No shit, and that guy's face went pale quick.
Like,
Like,
oh, fuck me.
he knew that he was in for it, and it was great. There were little moments like that in this season that were pretty goddamn great.
Yes, I agree.
That the Eldo exploding, nothing else off the top of my head immediately, but I'm sure there's like 7 other things.
Ames, sun tanning.
Ames sun tanning, yes. The two-tone underwear was kind of fun. That was kind of fun.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't have matching sets of chonies. I really liked Ames the first time around. I'd probably say I had a pretty decent crush on Janet Montgomery. I thought she was cool.
She's still cool.
Yeah, I don't really watch a whole lot of TV, like new TV anymore, so I haven't seen anything that she's on, but I really liked her in this. The only time I had a problem with her was in episode 201 because she reminded me too much of Megan from The Flash, who was supposed to be like the street tough.
Okay.
And she kind of dropped that like immediately after like the second half of the first episode, or episode 201. By episode 203, completely gone. She was awesome. They go to test her loyalties, and Winston is expecting her to basically flit off and be Catwoman, and she doesn't. Like, when there's trouble to be had, instead of trying to help her friend or do whatever to get her friend out of it, instead she immediately calls Chance. It's like, you guys, I'm in trouble. That really said something, and they had to tell that to Winston.
Don't do it.
Of course he's gonna do it. I would. What? Hey, when I'm off duty, you don't want to follow me either. That's all I'm saying.
Of course, Winston was a lot out of character this season too.
Well, they introduced like his ex-wife and a subplot on a criminal he tried to put away several years ago, and at least they put his sorry ass away. I was pretty happy with that kind of an episode, but like there was times I'm like, yo, what are you doing with Winston as a character? He's a little more in control than this.
Yeah, like flipping out and roughing up somebody that's got amnesia, that has no fucking clue as to what's happening.
Right. That's not going to jog that memory any quicker by smacking that head around, hoping the marble pops loose.
You don't know that.
Well,
quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting yourself.
Exactly.
But no, you're right. That was definitely Winston's episode to be out of character. And it was off-putting because Winston's a really great character. Like, I can't say he's a good character. He's a really great character. And
Jim McBride is fantastic.
Yes. And when they had him act more like the chief in this season, I was disappointed. And it's really because that was a gimmick that he did that was basically satire on shows like this, or cop shows in general.
Yeah.
He didn't, by having him do that, by having Winston do that, you're making him that satire. So I didn't necessarily agree with him constantly having that fucking stroke with everybody for everything that they did.
Right.
Like, you half expected Winston to have, like, double fisting Maylocks all the time.
Reminds me of like when we were watching Kolchak the Night Stalker show with the boss who was always continually having an aneurysm about Kolchak stories.
Oh God, I loved him. I was trying to get my wife to watch those today. She's like, no, not even still.
Your loss.
Whatever.
Be gone, woman. I release you from your responsibilities as far as Kolchak goes.
Yeah. Just let me have the big TV and the PS5. I'll watch it out here. Turn the heater on.
Yeah, there you go.
Although I am going to bring the PS4 out here for our my playthrough of Dread.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it the way God intended in 3D.
Damn right. Dread is up next for our 0 Point review series, everybody. So
You'll have listened to that yesterday.
yep, pretty much. I was going to say, full disclosure, by the time you hear this, it's already been out.
So again, I'm not dropping any spoilers this week.
Nope.
Yet.
Not yet. The night is still young.
It's still young.
I'm going to cycle back around to Guerrero. How did you feel like he did this season? Because we've talked about Ames. We've talked about, Winston. We'll get to Chance and Ilsa here, but Guerrero is probably my favorite character of this show. So
Yes.
how do you think they did this year?
I'd say it's an improvement. My complaint in that is this. With Ilsa and Ames, Jackie got pushed down from being top billed to being and Jackie Earl Haley. It's like, no, like, yes, he's the legend. He's like the big star and whatnot, but golly, I didn't like seeing that on IMDb when I started looking up the different stats. It's like, wait, why is Jackie billed down further? He got more time than he did last season. I think he got better fights than he did last season.
Yes.
They gave him Batman storylines, like straight up Grant Morrison Batman storylines, where Batman was keeping tabs on how to kill the Justice League should they ever go rogue. Seems like a good idea until Ra's al Ghul breaks into the Batcave and steals all the data on how to kill the Justice League and takes them all out. And then they find out that it was because Batman had kept files on them.
Agreed.
They started doing that with Guerrero in this. And then it turns out that Guerrero's not trying to find out stuff on them to have as far as like leverage, secrets, anything like that. He's keeping tabs on them so he could protect them because that's his family.
Right.
Like he knows Winston goes bowling every Sunday night, so he goes and follows Winston to the bowling alley to watch every Sunday night, make sure he gets out of the bowling alley safe.
Hey, you don't know. I didn't need your help.
Of course not.
Really sweet when you think about it for the type of person that Guerrero is. You see him become a friend in this, which is really sweet, very sweet. Him and Chance in the Cool Hand Guerrero episode. The ending was awesome.
Yeah. That was a great episode. I love that one.
That might have been the finest episode. Like, it's just as far as like quality and fun.
It was focused.
Yeah, the giggles in the car between Winston and Chance when they're going, wait, what about that guard? Look at that guard over there. Does that guard look weird? And Winston looks in the binoculars going, oh yeah, that's him. And 4 hours. I expected 2. They were sitting there waiting for him to break out of prison.
Because we got to stop him. He can get away. They're so negotiating with him too. It's like, okay, just one more night. No, just one more day. Okay, 2 days tops.
Well, see, and then that was another one of the indiscrepancies. Guerrero being patient behind bars.
Man is a mystery wrapped in a box tied off with an enigma.
He's Mr. Hyde. He doesn't like incarceration. That was his character outside the outside of their norm. I'm really not sure what the term for that is. Flaw. I don't know. It was still good, but it was just a little out of character for him.
Well, I also look at it like this too, because I wrote down in my notes for that episode. He wasn't locked up. Guerrero was not locked up in the prison with a bunch of criminals. The criminals were locked up in a prison with Guerrero. So when you put it like that, it's like, oh shit, if he's in there willingly, people want to fuck with him, he's gonna fucking murder everybody in there. You're locked up with a maniac now, a pro.
Kinda, yes. And I like that you get to see Guerrero just completely hand people their ass in this. And
Yes.
usually Chance has the statement going, oh, 1 against 4. In this particular episode, 2 against 4. Doesn't seem hardly fair. Like they just destroyed those guys. And it was such a beautiful fight scene.
Yes. Yeah.
They spared
I loved all
no
the fights.
expense. Yeah. The choreography was great. The editing was fantastic.
Yes.
It was a really well done meh. I can't even call it meh. That seems wrong. It was different. I can't keep saying that enough. It was different.
Yeah, the differences between season 1 and season 2 are there, and they will stand out for anybody watching. Whether you love them or like them or don't like them, that's entirely going to be up to you as an audience member on how you feel about some of the changes. Like, for the most part, the show does eventually gel together with the cast and crew. But like we said earlier in the episode, especially as far as like I'm concerned, it's just what they chose for like some of the subplots for the interplay between some of the characters. Like the romance was not needed between, Chance and Elsa. The only other one I didn't really like was when they were trying to say like Ames got married, had a fling, and then it was over with, and they had it annulled because it's been like 3 weeks long. It's like you're just randomly doing these things just to, I don't know why. You would just interject some of these just random bits of information or subplots when it's completely not necessary. So it feels like there's a bit of unnecessary going on. And of course, detail work. And then just, some of the character relationships were just, you needed somebody who was a little more strong-handed with the characters in this show. I'm going to say it, Steenberg, if he had been left to handle this and they just wanted some things differently, he could have navigated that. He didn't have to bring in Matt Miller to start fiddling with the show. I think ultimately that's what led to the season 2 not being nearly as good as season 1.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anytime you get studio involvement,
Yeah.
The wonderful accident of the lightning in the bottle that you had been capturing, the bottle gets shattered because that's not what the studio wants. What the studio wants is what a focus group wants, and what a focus group wants is Lord only fucking knows what those crazy bastards want.
No kidding.
So when they said they wanted more romance and kids because they wanted younger viewers, like a sidekick, Robin to Batman is basically what Ames is. And I say that with complete respect.
Right.
Ames is kind of like Carrie Kelly from The Dark Knight Returns. And that was like one of the cooler Robins that always gets forgotten.
Yep.
But anyway, that would have been the last part to the question of where was Guerrero's progression. It really kind of ends with him being a dad, like a brother to her in a way, dad to her in a way. But then, yes, ultimately he ends being a dad. Savage, but that's pretty much what any parent would do.
Right. Do you think he was still going to go to Venice to hang out with Ilsa's sister-in-law?
So we're on for Venice then, right? Can't wait.
Absolutely. I love it. Every time they're like, Guerrero's a thug, he's an animal, he's this and that. He loves the opera. He's pissed off because he's missing the fucking opera.
Yep.
He even tells Elsa,
yeah,
boss, I'm missing the opera. Please don't test me.
Exactly. Well, I liked at the beginning of that particular episode when they first walk into the opera house and she's like, Guerrero, you're into opera? And he's like, yeah, I'm not really for this Baroque stuff, but this will be okay, I guess. I'm more for like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, there we go.
And then I love it. It's just like complete confidence. Like, so, see you in Venice then? And she gets this awkward look on her face, like kind of like, why not? Yeah, okay. And yeah,
And it's like, see you then.
That would have been cool to see. That would have been funny.
Yep. No, I thought that was just super funny. Where he's when Guerrero first sees her, and he's like, "Oh damn, And then as they walk away, he's like, "Oh, she's a smoking hot."
He must be in a band. That's got to be what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, and he kept getting more and more fun this season too. Again, it was as close as we're gonna get to see Jackie playing Batman.
Yeah. I like Jackie. I think all the actors did the best they could this season, and I think it shows. I think they were still having some fun, but I don't know. There's a few times I felt towards the end of the season where I almost think they might have known the show was not going to be continuing, and I would say they stayed pros, but I almost got the vibe watching the last couple episodes that they knew that they were not going to be coming back.
And that's too bad. That's too bad. I mean, it's cliche to say it. This is the most explosive thing that was on television that decade, but it really was. Like this was an amazing show that is like the epitome next to Firefly of like saying, Fox, what the fuck are you smoking?
Yeah.
Like, did somebody piss you off? Is that what this is getting canceled for?
Right.
Because shows don't get much better than this. I can't call this show perfect because again, season 2 has a ton of indiscrepancies that are just completely inconsistent.
Right.
Season 1 is pretty much a perfect damn TV show as far as I could see.
I would agree with that.
It's every bit as good as the first 2 seasons of Ash versus Evil Dead for me, and it's something that I can and will revisit. Like I said,
I'll absolutely revisit season 1 for sure. Season 2, maybe not so much, unless I'm really feeling the need to want to watch more. But some of the differences I can also attribute to another show that was around this time of something called Burn Notice. They introduced a character around season 4 or 5-ish named Jesse. Anybody who's seen Burn Notice knows exactly who I'm talking about. He was like now like the 4th member of the team, and the main lead at the time, Jeffrey Donovan, was feeling like he was doing a little bit more of the writing and the directing and more behind the scenes stuff. He was taking a larger role that way, and he also wanted to take the workload of the stunts off of himself. So they brought in Jesse as an extra character who could take a little bit of the load off of Michael. And for that first season he was on there, it felt weird and disjointed. It didn't feel quite right. But by the end, by the last 2 seasons, season 6 and 7, it seemed to kind of be flowing together well. If this show had had another season, I do believe they could have ironed some of the kinks out. It's just unfortunate we never got to that.
Kinda. I mean, there is closure to things.
Yes.
It's still wide open where more can happen, of course.
Right.
But you get closure. I didn't think we were going to have any, so I mean, I can't complain about that. That was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be another dumbass cliffhanger. And I don't mean the first season was dumbass. I'm just like, I don't want a show that literally ends on a cliffhanger. I don't like that in general, but it happens every once in a while.
And that's what I was going to warn you about. Like, I thought it was going to end with that Stinger missile hitting the plane. Like, what's going to happen next? You know who I really fucking heard, like, in the back of my head throughout watching this entire season?
Who?
Annie Wilkes from Misery.
Yep.
That's not how that happened.
That's very true.
My wife was like, "Oh God, I know what he's talking about. I'm so ashamed."
Yeah.
As soon as I said Annie Wilkes, her face just like dropped in shame. She's like, "I got one of my husband's references."
Yeah. What I think might have, I don't know if people would have liked this, but I think ultimately if they would have ended with the Kill Bob episode, I honestly think that could have been a nice little bow tie to the season. I think that would have been a better final episode than the last 2 that we got. But the last 2 did give us a closure to some character arcs.
What happened in the second to the last episode? I got like a quarter of the way through it, and the episode like froze and would not skip
You mean
ahead.
the trouble with Harry?
Yeah, I got as far as Chance sitting on the pressure bomb.
He was acquiring items and having Harry get items like a giant Scotch bottle of Macallan 12, which I would totally love that bottle. Cost like a little over 100. I think nowadays it's more like 130. But he was getting certain items so he could get off the chair and use the whiskey bottle as the perfect length between the countertop, and the chair to keep the pressure plate down. And then he also had another item to where when he got away from the chair, he could throw something to make the bomb explode. So it would release the whiskey bottle and then it would just blow up. And ultimately, Guerrero comes in, and subsequently the end of the episode comes because Winston and Guerrero come in basically just as Chance is finishing up in there and wraps up the episode. And then poor Harry tries to hit on Ames, and she just walks away from him while he's still talking to her.
Oh,
Because she's saying, don't you hate it when people walk away while you're talking to them? And that's basically the last shot of the episode.
so he really likes Batman.
Yes, so.
We're on to you, Miller. God damn it.
Yeah, Miller. Wrong Miller.
No, I mean, I can't turn my nose terribly at him. I mean, he was told to do a job, and I guess he did it.
Yep.
So
that actually was a pretty good episode, I thought.
Oh, I was going to say, Steve and Glenn have taught me a lot, not firsthand, but when we talked to Steve for Trimmers last year, or the year before, he mentioned that Brent didn't want to talk to us. Not didn't want to talk to us. He didn't want to talk about the TV series.
Yep.
And despite the fact that we loved the series and it was really good, it was not a good experience for Brent. And I wholeheartedly respect that. I will never say an unkind word against any of the Stampede guys for that. But I feel like that was something that was probably happening in this season. Everybody was getting shit on from the studio to change this, do that, make it more of this. Our viewers think that they should do this.
Yeah, there could have been some circumstances beyond their control that led to some of these issues, and it's unfortunate, but we still did get a fun show out of it. So I can't say I didn't enjoy it and I didn't like it. That is completely not the case. I still very much enjoyed the show. I had some issues with it. It just would have been nice if Warner Brothers didn't want to fuck with the show too much and they were allowed to just continue being themselves.
Kinda.
It ain't broke, why fix it? Oh, well, we're just going to start breaking it until we can fix it.
Because that's what this show needs. It didn't need anything because the viewership was already there and it kept gaining, even though like it wasn't. They didn't say it was there, but it was statistically.
Oh, yeah. Those last 3 episodes did ratings on par with season 1. So it's like, you know what? If you guys had bothered to schedule the damn show properly, put it on a good night, we have this for most of our shows. Like, you got to pick a good night and you got to pick a good time slot and stick to it. Don't start messing with delaying it, preempting it, or moving it to other nights. That's not going to help. And keep it off of fucking Fridays.
At what time?
8 o'clock.
Ah, that's exactly where Fox moved us.
Ka-ching! Gotcha.
When I saw that today, like the first thing I had to do is text you, like, dude, guess what? You were right.
I know. Because you told me. Spoiler alert, Kevin told me the answer already.
Yeah, they switched this several different times to several different days. Not all of the episodes in the back half of the season were aired in the United States. That's why I've only seen up until the mid half.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they flip-flopped it around 7 different ways until finally it ended on Friday nights at 8, which is what you've described as the death knell of Fox.
Kinda.
And I want to say the only thing that's ever really survived there for a good long time was X-Files. And they even moved that just because.
They moved that because, we could do better ratings on another night. Big shock.
Yeah, because people are going to tune in to X-Files one way or the other.
So let's put it on Sunday nights and let's go.
Yeah, but this, they did what they typically do. They make a couple of commercials, do a little ad during their football segments, and let it be from there. And I don't know how they choose shows to keep and sweep at that point, but
Right.
this was a conundrum. It's still a conundrum. They won't say what happened. They won't say why they won't release the entire series on DVD. They're just mum about it, and it sucks. And I don't know if there's anybody that has the answers.
Yeah, a lot of this is like purely speculation about what happened, what's going on, where's it at now. You know, at the very minimum, it should be out there somewhere streaming, and it's not.
Yeah, and that's the crime, because these actors, this crew, put on a hell of a performance. It was a hell of a season that they put on. It was explosive. It was hard work. It was well done, and they don't get residuals for this shit, and that's not cool.
No, I would think at the very least put this up on Tubi or something. You know,
Put it on Hulu. Like
or Hulu.
It's a Disney thing at this point.
No, Warner Brothers was the studio that made it. They just sold the. They just broadcast it on Fox. So this would be Warner Brothers that has this.
These fuckers again.
Your rival has returned, Kevin, with a vengeance.
I hate Warner Brothers. I always have.
We know you do.
They ruin everything good.
They're why we can't have nice things.
It's true. We get wrong sounding Looney Tunes. We get porno Harry Potter. All sorts of.
Wait, what?
Remember the third one that had the director from E2 Mama Tambien?
Oh yeah.
Kids at home, look up the trailer for that movie. Hot.
Saucy Kevin tonight.
Speaking of saucy, going back to things that didn't work with Ames, the cornrows in her hair during the Christmas episode.
No.
The whole Christmas episode just did not work for me, with the exception of Winston joining the book club. That was fun. But the kid Joel wore entirely way too much makeup. His face was very shiny.
Yeah.
The character was just a complete dork, which I get it. That's what they were writing. But I'm gonna bring my laptop so I could play music because the girl likes my music and not this guy's. It's like, oh fuck, whose sister wrote this episode?
I know, right?
So
some of the dialogue was just like, what is going on with this episode?
Kinda. And then like the giant joke on middle class suburbia during Christmas time, I was kind of like, isn't this how you make all your money, Fox? Like,
yeah,
this is your demographic and shit.
They could have just said, let's watch something on Fox later. Assume standard Fox viewing positions.
Oh, and again, it wasn't that it was a bad episode. It just it was unnecessary. It was filler, and the only good part out of it that I got was where Winston is trying to get through the book and look at the computer at the same time, and the wife is complaining that the husband got mad at her for putting up the Christmas tree a week early.
Yeah.
And Winston like drops what he's doing, and he has this look on his face like, oh, did you know Chance won't even let me put up a Christmas tree?
It's like, oh my God.
Instantly gets addicted to the gossip from the lady in the book club. She is just so wonderful. Like, his emotional turns are just fantastic in this show.
Yeah, they're great comedic timing from Chi. Like, he's fantastic. And I like Chance. Chance did a great job this season too. So I think they pulled on him more for drama in the second half than they really needed to. But
I've been shot at, I've been thrown out of an airplane, been generally mistreated by a lot of very bad people. But this bickering is pretty much more than I can take. So I'm gonna go outside, get some fresh air. When I get back, you two had better be calmed down or we're breaking out the ball gags.
Yes, they had to make
he could handle it.
Oh, sure. I mean, it wasn't something like, you can't buy him in a romantic lead action, sure, but romantic? No.
Yeah.
That's not the case with Mark. Even when Mark's the fucking bad guy in a show, he's still a good romantic lead. That's fucking Fringe, the pilot episode in a nutshell.
God damn it, Devereaux.
Oh shit. Oh, but yeah, the Christmas episode was really stupid. That one is probably one that I would cut. Like if there was just an episode like too much, if you needed to make this a more concise season, that's when I definitely would have cut.
Well, speaking of concise, Kevin, I challenge you to a 6-pack challenge.
That challenge? Let's see. I had to go over it a bit. I accidentally put down the wrong episode for my third episode.
How dare you?
I know. I got 2 episodes mixed together. I was like, well, shit, that's part. That
Well, they
part's
kind of bleed
important.
together, a couple of them anyway.
Yeah. So I started out with episode 201, which was Elsa Pucci. That's when we get our introduction to Elsa and Ames. Ames is, of course, introduced kind of like Selena Kyle, where she's changing her appearance to get to the different rooms to steal the jewels. Very seductive outfits, each and every single one. And that's where we see Elsa purchase the team. The next episode I chose was episode 2, and that's kind of for Elsa's progression. We see the characters start to develop as a family relationship, specifically with Guerrero and Ames. And we start to see Elsa begin to understand how the business works with her relationship with Winston. Like he's passing that boss wisdom on to her. Like things don't work the way that you think that they should. Things get messy in this line of work, and we do things because it's right. And you see that with her at the end, where she's the person that, despite being the owner, this billionaire person, no one else is around to answer the phone. And she picks it up and she just says, yes, I think we can help you. And that was kind of a neat moment for her. I really dug that. After that, I had selected episode 203, which was Taking Ames, because that's where we get Ames's backstory. And then I erased that altogether because it's that. So that'll get an honorary mention.
There you go.
So number 3, I jumped up ahead to episode 207, A Problem Like Maria, where Maria comes back to ask Chance for help, and she just completely destroys Chance's trust with her. She destroys Ilsa's trust with Chance. She threatens Ilsa, not personally, but Ilsa is threatened, like someone's pissing on her tree, basically, like taking her man. We're introduced to the Lopez brothers, and let's see here. Chance kills one of the brothers, which sets off the other brother. That's our in-season finale, where he shoots down the plane. That's where America thought the show ended. Like, did they make it or did they not? You knew that they did, but you just didn't see it. Episode 208 is the follow-up to that. It's a road trip episode, basically, for Ilsa and Chance, where they're forced to be honest with one another and kind of face their feelings. It's got some humor to it, like Chance having like extreme arachnophobia, albeit the fact that they're like surrounded by banana spiders. But this is where you start to see that blending, where from the previous episode, the Lopez brother is still chasing or tracking them down, all the way to the point where you think that they kill him in South America. They get back to the United States, but because Ames kind of let slip that she was from San Francisco, he's able to follow them there, and he's in Elsa's apartment, just completely brutalizes her until Chance gets there. And when Chance gets in, Ilsa kills the guy, which kills a part of herself, which they've been kind of talking about previously in the episode. Like, when you kill a person, you kill a piece of yourself.
I think you missed a little bit in there about that episode. It wasn't just saying San Francisco. He also got the bracelet off of Ilsa when he got let go from her hand. And I'm pretty sure like her name would have been inside that band, or some sort of engraving was in there, because that was sitting next to the glass wine bottles and the wine glasses, the wine, and then that bracelet was sitting right next to it. So it's like, oh shit, Hector is here.
Yes, and I sent you a text message, and I'll be perfectly honest with everybody listening. That episode made me cry when Chance walks in, thinks Ilsa's killed. You know she's not. The guy, Hector, gets up and falls over dead. And when Ilsa gets up, she has this look on her face of shock. And it is Ilsa, but it's not. Like, that part of Ilsa definitely died. And Chance knows that. And he holds her for what it is and just comforts her. And that part was really kind of sweet to me, because again, I had that emotional investment for the last 10 years, and that was just the closure that I needed. And then it kept going. Several episodes too many, but we've got 2 more that actually make up for the story. And the next one is episode 211, and that was Kill Bob, for the reason that that's where we find the file that the KGB basically has on Marshall and the drug running that they were doing through the Marshall Pucci Foundation. They don't know who was doing it, but someone was. And then the only other thing from that episode that I could say was like really important for the 6-pack is Ilsa lashes out at Chance in denial. And the important thing about that isn't so much that she's in denial. It's the fact that she loves Chance. And the fact that it shows that is because you always lash out at the people that you love the most. That's just kind of the way that works. And then the finale, the season finale, the mystery of Marshall's death is solved. It was the CIA that did it. Jake Weber appears as Agent Pickner, whom Elsa almost gets to kill and avenge her husband's death. That was really kind of shitty because nothing happens to the lady that kills Marshall.
Yeah.
And then it ends in this most explosive, glorious way, Eldo exploding, followed by an additional, followed by an additional 10 minutes of closure for every other character in the storyline.
Yep.
That episode was about 5 minutes too long for me, but it was still good. It was a good closer for the story. Just not a good closer for the series.
Yeah.
And I say that
would be my feeling too.
Yeah, I say that only because I didn't want the series to end. This is something I would have liked to see this particular cast do for 4 or 5 more years.
Yes. I think they could have gone there with everything after that, though.
Yeah.
It's just too bad.
Unfortunately, Warner Brothers fucked that up because they recast Mark Valley as somebody else in the Arrowverse before they had Christopher Chance show up on Legends of Tomorrow.
Fucking morons.
Yeah, so we could have had that continuity going from one series to the next the way we did with Constantine, but no, they kind of screwed the pooch on that one.
Constantine, the Lucifer show. Yeah, they missed the boat on that, I think.
It's their way. It's WB's way.
It's the WB way.
Oh, well, what did you get? Were you able to find 6 juicy episodes for this 6-pack challenge?
Did. Some of them are going to be are going to be similar. Some of them are not. Of course, going to start with the episode 201, also known as Ilsa Pucci. It's a great, it finishes off the cliffhanger from the first season very well, in my opinion. I think they could have spent a little more time on it, though, because it feels like they just kind of sped through to the conclusion. And then you never see the book again. You never hear about the book again, which was the big MacGuffin from season 1. And right away in season 2, it's like, okay, we got the book back. We're going to cut that off here at the knees. We're not talking about that again. And it's a really good episode. It has some Die Hard vibes to it. Like, the show definitely pulls from like some other action movies like quite often. It's not just every once in a while. It was starting to get old with the Die Hard homages and vibes to it this season. I think if they had gone a 3rd season, I would have liked them to have gone a different route and get away from the Die Hard vibes. You don't need it. You don't need to keep doing references. We got it already. Do it for 1 season. That's fun. Do it for a 2nd season. Okay, but you're starting to drag it out too much. Let's not beat that dead horse into the ground,
Yeah.
And in my last note on that episode for Ilsa is the music in this show is a bit unnecessary. It's a little too poppy, a little too mainstream, and at times it doesn't really fit the scenes that it's being placed with. So I think the musical choices and selections were not great. And that's going to be one of my other nitpicks is they needed to do a better job picking out some music for this and to make it tie in with the scenes a little bit better. Oftentimes the music fit the scenes, but there's times where it's like, why are you playing something hip hoppy here? It has nothing to do with anybody or anything, and it's not even funny. It's just, what's this reggaeton doing in the middle of this episode? This makes like no sense. So I'm willing to bet that was Warner Brothers' decision and whoever they had like doing the musical composition and scoring during the season. But after that, I'm going to go straight to taking aims. I'm skipping episode number 2. I don't feel like that's all that important. They just get into a bit of like the history of Elsa a little bit and the gelling of the team. But when they get to taking aims, this feels like where they figured out what they want to do with this group. And I'm like, okay, now I'm game for this show, because the first 2 episodes were a bit, I liked them, didn't love them, and I wasn't feeling the new cast. Around this time with taking aims, I felt like, okay, you got me. I'm on board now. So the characters were really coming together as a team, and I really liked Chicago, the names of everybody being city names. And ultimately, it's just a real fun episode where Ames finally comes around and she's like, you know what? I actually have a job now. I'm not going to be this criminal anymore. And so that was just really nice to address that almost right away. After that, going to number 5, Dead Hand. I really like this episode for Winston. This was his standout episode of the season. He basically got to bust a dude from several years prior, that a dirty cop, which in the first season, him and dirty cops didn't really, the storyline worked out in the end, but it wasn't too satisfying for Winston. This finally gave Winston a win of his own, and I really appreciated that. The only kind of thing I wrote down here that I wasn't the biggest fan of was Ace of Spades for a motorcycle gang. What the fuck is this song doing here? I mean, I like the song, don't get me wrong, but it just was like, what the fuck?
What do motorcycle people like? Motorhead.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like to me. But needless to say, I really liked seeing Michelle as Winston's ex-wife, and the kind of dynamic and relationship they have, and Winston basically saying, I know I wasn't a good husband, and realizing where he was with his life and her. After that, I'm going to A Problem Like Maria, because I like Maria. I didn't like her. I definitely have my thoughts about how she was a no good lying bitch.
Whore!
But it was such a fun episode. I like how it started, where she was snowing Chance into trying to do this plan for her to save this person of interest, and it ended up being her husband. My only comment was, so when did she get married? Before or after the gold?
Yeah, right.
Gold digger.
Whore!
Kevin, I'm going to clip that, and I'm going to start putting that in our 0 point episodes from now on. Okay. And then we're going to wrap it up. We're going to go with Cool Hand Guerrero, like I did with Winston. Great to have a more focused episode on Guerrero. We got to see him be a complete badass. We actually saw him out of frumpy clothes. He looked like he was totally jacked and ready to fuck shit up in the prison. And anytime they went to go fight him, he just had this look on his face of like, do this now, because you know it's going to come back around to bite you in the ass. And I love his attitude. Jackie is phenomenal as Guerrero. One overall point I'll make is they never do address how he came up with the name Guerrero. And I almost never want him to. Because any chance they could have done it on a piece of paper, they didn't do that. So for all the lack of detail work, there was good detail in always keeping his first name out of the conversation while bringing it up, because even the girls would be like, wait, his name is Guerrero. What's his first name? And it just became kind of a little bit of a gag in that episode, and I really like that.
Yeah, like he changes it from time to time.
Time to time. And then my final one is Kill Bob. I think this would have been a great final episode, because then you could have left room for the next 2 to kick off season 3. So episodes 12 and 13, I would have had actually kick off season 3. That way you're not doing like the romantic stuff this season. You could have tightened it up and kept it more confined to 11 episodes here, and I think it would have played out a little bit better. That way you could have kicked off season 3 like this big 2 episode like shift. And if you're going to do this romance thing, you could have done that at that point. You could have let the show breathe a little bit between the next season or not, but they didn't get that opportunity. It wasn't afforded to them. It was canceled. So getting episodes, 12 and 13 in here, that's fine. Overall, I really like the show. I really enjoyed it. I do prefer season 1 to this season, though. It's just way tighter, way more focused, and the detail work is excellent. Writing is on point for season 1. Kind of gets lazy in this season. It's still very good. Just think this season could have used a little bit more work and a little more polish, maybe a little more time. But this is what we got. I still enjoyed watching it, and I'm glad we covered it.
I make a joke that about the budget, which is not true at all. Like, I don't think their budget got decreased at all. The series started on a bullet train and it ended on BART.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, well, this all went downhill. But yeah, I agree. I'm super duper happy that I have the physical copy of season 1.
As do I.
Tickled pink that we have the digital copies of season 2 now. This is going to be something that I will revisit. Like, my son's going to dig this, not just because it's a fun show, but because it's set in San Francisco. And like, I'd say a good eighth of the show is stock footage of San Francisco traffic. And my son's going to be all over that shit.
Yeah. Well, they show the bridge quite a bit.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think like Hunter will end up watching season 1 at least a bunch of times. Once we get season 2 up on the Plex, he'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to go watch this." And he'll disappear and watch it because that's just San Francisco's his thing. Yeah. And they make San Francisco kind of a character in this series. And I appreciated that as a Californian.
Yeah. Well, especially after Monk had just ended, and that was largely set in San Francisco.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
It wasn't shot there, but that's where the location was for Monk.
Oh, gotcha.
That one was shot in LA.
Oh, I was going to say, it's funny how San Francisco looks no way like Vancouver.
Yeah, I know, right? Very, very different.
Oh, gosh. But this is a fun flick. I will always recommend this to people. I'm glad we finally got around to doing it. If you are listening to this and you haven't seen it, go find it. Human Target is amazing. If you've seen Human Target and you've yet to see season 2, let us know in the comments and we will find a way for you to see it. Because it's worth seeing.
It is worth seeing, yes.
And especially if like you're a great fan of the show, a great fan of the comic book, if you've been a part of the show or a cast or crew, we want to make sure that everyone gets respected for this because it is fantastic.
Absolutely. And if you want to argue with me, feel free. You can come on and tell me how I'm wrong.
I fucking argue with you all the time.
I know. And you're still here.
I ain't got no pathos to go.
No, I like a good debate. And I also appreciate like learning more information about like it wasn't so much lazy. It was kind of studio directed and too much confusion was going on. Hey, it's because none of us know anything. We're just speculating on what was going on and what we see in the finished product. So
they're professionals, the highest caliber.
Okay, shoot me.
Dear God.
I mean, everybody's talented on this show. There's still work being put in, excellent work across the board. Like, even the special effects were still equally as awesome as they were the previous year. And a lot of things do carry through from the first season. So it's not like it's completely missing like everything that made this show great. It just felt like it could have used a little more work.
Yeah. It missed a little bit of the pizzazz, like per each episode. It flowed better, but it missed the pizzazz of each episode being its own spectacle, I guess. That Bond influence.
It's going to get bonded. Post-Bond, Kevin. Kevin, you got any final thoughts before we wrap it up tonight?
Oh gosh, I don't. Other than the fact that, this is a show that is primarily about three guys that I idolized as kids, and I still idolize them as adults. And this is more fun than any show on Fox ever had the right to be.
I would agree, and it can join the pantheon of other great Fox shows that got canceled too, from Brimstone, Space Above and Beyond, to now Human Target. To Fox, I say, fuck off. But everybody for tuning in, I want to say thank you, everybody, for checking us out, listening to the Human Target episodes for February. Coming up here in March, we got Farscape on its 25th anniversary here in America. It's going to be a first-time watch for Kevin, so I'm pretty excited for him. And I'm pretty excited because it's basically my favorite TV show of all time. So please stay tuned for that one. We have great 0 Point reviews coming up as well. March is Superhero Month. So you might have just checked out Dread from us on our YouTube channel or Rumble, wherever you are going. If you are not on YouTube, you are not on Rumble, please do come check us out there. We keep our catalog going and growing. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you all next time.
If this is it, if this is really the end, I get to use the rocket launcher.
Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at sunsandshadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.